What's up, Canes fans? Yeah, we need to talk. Um, I didn't write anything down, so if it veers off a little bit what I'm saying, I apologize for that. And if you need caption as well because of the accent, I also apologize for that. But there are certain things that has been going on with the program, and we need to talk about it. And I don't see a lot of people like articulating what's going on. And before I start this discussion on my thought process of what's going on. Um, I always compare Miami to USC because the urban thing, the athletes, the pro players, the Hall of Famers, whatever. And I want people to remember that before Pete Carroll got to USC, right? Pete Carroll won his first title at USC officially in '04. They claimed the one in '03 that LSU won against Oklahoma. So um, if you take it from '03 to their previous title before Pete Carroll, it was 1978. That was 25 years and 26 years officially. And 2021 is gonna make it 20 years since Miami won a title, and we're basically one coaching staff after Diaz from getting into 25, 26 years, right? So we are on that path, and I think the fans. This video specifically is about to address the fans because as fans we have allowed the politics, the salesman coaches to lower your standards, to make you even people say you're unreasonable to even ask Miami to give Clemson a game. Just to give them a game, not win the game, just to give them a game. People look at you like you're unreasonable, right? Because there's no red line for them. So okay, if this happened, I'm done with it, right? And Manny Diaz now, right? He keeps saying you need to change the culture. And what I realize is when you say you need to change the culture, automatically the fans want to give you 2 years free to lose to whichever team, to get blown out by all these teams because you're supposedly changing the culture. But the thing about this changing the culture narrative is there's nothing tangible that you can actually look at and say, okay, the culture is changing, right? Because um, there's no metric to change to measure culture change. There's no metric, right? And it's kind of hypocritical when you think about it because if you remember, when Manny Diaz came in, we had one of the worst defense for the past 4.5 years before him under D'Onofrio, right? And he came in with this bravado. No, we don't. We're gonna play freshman. We're gonna do this, and immediately it turned around. The defense turned around. It was pretty good. I never thought his defenses were great. I never thought that, but it was pretty good because for your defense to be great, it has to be able to stop teams that has the same talent or better than your players, right? And in my opinion, I have not seen that since Diaz has been at Miami, right? So it's a good defense, right? But there was no we need to change culture, blah blah blah. When Margaret came in and gave Diaz control of the defense, it was instant. Playing a lot of freshmen, playing McLeod, Shaq, Pinkney, Joe Jackson, all these guys. It was instant, right? And these were our golden players and freshmen that just came in the spring, right? So one thing that I look at to actually not only like show that there's no culture changing, it's actually kind of worse, right? And I'll point out a few things. Like I said, it might veer off a little bit, but I'm sorry about that. Anyways, right? So after Al Golden first full season, right? Um, Tommy Streeter, he had like 40 something receptions and 800 and something yards receiving, right? And Tommy Streeter didn't look at that and said, you know what? It's my breakout season. I'm a junior. I'm gonna come back. These coaches are gonna coach me up, and I'm gonna, if I'm getting draft buzz for like fifth round, sixth round, fourth round, whatever, I can make it up to the second round. I have the talent. I'm gonna get the coaching. We can do better on the field. He didn't say that. He went pro as a junior. He went pro after one decent season, right? And that's how Golden um first off season finished, right? So then you fast forward to the season that we had when we went to the Orange Bowl and got beat by Wisconsin. We started off 10-0, you know, whatever. It was a pretty good season, right? It was exciting. The turnover chain, the you know, the turnover chain, it was lit. I went to all the home games. It was fun. It was fun being at those games. I went to all the home games except the Notre Dame game, right? You come to that off season, right? And you have Kendrick Norton and RJ McIntosh, who were the starting defensive tackles, right? And these guys, they didn't look at it and say, you know what? We had a good season. I'm being projected to go maybe fourth, maybe fifth, whatever it is. I'm going to come back. I know I can get up to the third round, to the second round. Maybe first round you can develop. Why not? They didn't say that. They did the same thing Tommy Streeter did in 2012, 2011, 2012, right? Same thing. They went pro. McIntosh went fifth round and Norton went seventh round, right? None of them look at it and say, you know what? This staff can help me climb up the draft boards, get a higher round, get a better pick, get more money for me and my family. They didn't do it, right? So that's one thing culturally that is the same from Al Golden to Manny Diaz. It's the same thing, right? And when you look at it and you say, you come to this season now, right? Jalen Phillips, Miami Gold recruited him out of UCLA after he retires from football. He falls out of love with it, everything. He has a decent season. He didn't have a great season. He had a decent season. That's all it was, right? We lost to Clemson badly. We got dropped by UNC at home. 778 yards rushing. 778 yards in total offense. And 550 yards rushing. Put up against our defense with Jalen Phillips, the best player on defense, right? And he turns pro. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, he's projected to go first round. Some people might project him to go first round, but he's not a sure pick first round. He's not, right? And when you consider that he only had like one season with us, right? And he retired from football, those are going to be strikes against him in the eyes of the pros. The scouts, the pro scouts, right? And where's the I'm not going to let that UNC game be my last game on file from Miami. There was nothing like that. So when they're saying this culture is changing, compare Streeter's situation and come up to Jalen Phillips' situation, go to the RJ McIntosh and Norton situation, it's the same thing. So they're saying this culture is changing. It's not changing. And when you look at it, that's the reason why Miami cannot get over the hump and get better. It's part of the reason. It's not the only reason, but it's part of the reason. Because these players do not believe the coaches that are coaching them can get them better and better. So once they have a little good season, they get excited and they go, oh, fifth round, it doesn't matter. Let me go take whatever negligible signing bonus I'm going to get and go try to see if I can use it to start a business or whatever. That's what they've been doing, right? And it's something that when you look at it, right? I talked about the Tommy Streeter situation, right? And then you look at a situation with Ankerson, right? Ankerson had almost identical stats to what Tommy Streeter had as a junior, right? 40-something receptions, 800 and something yards receiving. He comes back for his senior season, right? He has 70-something receptions and over 1,100 yards receiving. He goes third round. He has a pretty good NFL career, right? You look at the highest receiver drafted since then is Dorsett. Dorsett was a senior. He stayed at Miami his whole 4 years, right? Another receiver that had a good pro career, Allen Hurns. He stayed till he was a senior. right? Then you compare that to Streeter, you compare that to Jeff Thomas and these guys, right? And so I'm saying, like, what in the culture is changing that? What is changing that, right? There's nothing changing that. And now people will talk about, for example, Phillips. He's had concussion issues, injuries, all kind of stuff. There could be valid reasons, valid excuses, right? But you compare that to Clemson, right? Compare that to Clemson. Clemson had around 65 defensive linemen on the same team that were all projected to go in the top 2 rounds. And they all came back. They all came back with the mentality of, we can win. And not only can we win, I know I can actually get better in the draft projections. Right? Their mentality is probably like, the worst that could happen is I stay in my position in my draft projections. So when I'm saying, where's the culture change going on? Where is it changing? Where are we having players with that mentality? Right? And even when you look at the Rousseau situation where he sits out, that's a personal decision. I cannot blame the coaches for that, right? But when I look at the players that are sitting out, they're not sitting out Clemson. They're not sitting out Bama. The whole country has the same problems with COVID, but these program players have the mentality of, I'm gonna play, right? So most of the players that are sitting out, they look at their team and realize, we're not gonna win nothing, so I'm gonna sit out. So I'm saying, where's the culture change in that? Where is it at? I keep asking that. I'm seeing that. But as fans, we buy those things. We buy it. We buy the culture. Oh, we have to change the culture. We are changing. The culture is changing. Man is saying that, but he's not. He has no tangible proof of it, right? And a lot of people will point to this season and say, "Oh, last season we were 6-7, but this season we're 8-3." We could easily be 6-7 this season. We could be, or 6-5. We had a lot of close games that we also had the season before in Manny's first season, right? And we lost the close games. We lost against UNC, right? We lost against Virginia Tech. We could have won those games, and it would have been 8 wins. So not much has changed, right? And when we played the teams that are much better than us on paper, there's no competition, right? And then that brings me to our comparison within our division, right? Within our division. Before Matt Brown got to UNC was 2-8. 2-8, right? 2-8. Mac Brown got hired in the same offseason that Manny Diaz got the head coaching job. Manny Diaz has been at Miami since the fall of 2015, 2016. He was the defensive coordinator. Every single player on defense that's at Miami, Manny Diaz had some input in them being at Miami. Every single one of them. And what happened in the last game in Hard Rock is the culmination of all that. Right? UNC, 2 years ago, 2-8. Right? In Mac Brown's first season, UNC, all the games they went 7-6. Every single loss they had was by one score. Every single one of them. They played Clemson, number 1 Clemson, and the score was 20-21. That's how they lost. In Max Brown's first season coming off 2-8, right? And Manny Diaz, who has been at Miami since 2015-16, loses in that same season to Louisiana Tech, FIU, and those teams. And there's still fans actually making excuses, and they're articulating excuses. And this is what I'm talking about. The fans have allowed inexcusable things to be excused. In 2012, Miami gave up 486 yards in total defense. Right? Mark D'Onofrio, defense. I was done. That's a red line for me. There's no way you should go through a season as a Miami defensive coordinator and give up 486 yards on defense. That means some games are well over 500 yards, multiple games, for it to be averaging 486 yards. I was done with him. At that time, there were still fans buying the cloud, the this, the that, making excuses, just like they're doing now for Manny Diaz. Right? There were still fans doing that, making excuses, blaming the players. Right? And when you blame the players, it makes it seem like they're not trying hard enough or they didn't come here to make Miami good. Duke Johnson's and Tracy Howard's class was supposed to be the saving class for Miami. Right? Go through and through, same average mediocre performances. You come up to the 2018 class that Mark Richt brought in with Cam Harris and Lingard and those guys, right? Gervinal. That was supposed to be the class that was going to bring Miami back. I know I'm hearing the same thing again with this class that we just signed with James Williams and them. Leonard Taylor. This class is going to bring Miami back. High school kids cannot bring Miami back. Coaches bring Miami back. Proper coaching bring Miami back. Right? Stop making excuses for them. Stop it. Right? They are not coaching the players properly. Why? Because there's a lot of favoritism throughout the whole period. Hal Golden was doing it. Mark Richt was doing it. Manny Diaz is doing it. That's the constant that's there. Right? When the offense stunk it up with Dan Enos, Manny Diaz canned everybody. Oh, he cut throat. I liked it. I loved it. But then, when you come to this season now, the defense, you don't hear nothing. There's no red line. There's nothing that's unacceptable. If any program that's committed to winning had a game like the one we had against UNC, Manny Diaz that came to the podium and said, Blake Baker has been relieved of his duties, I will call the bowl game on defense. That's the only answer. That's the only answer. It's his defense. He knows to call it. He don't need Baker to call the defense. But it's his friends. They're not going to make any changes on the defense. And the same thing is going to happen again. When we play any good team, we're going to get smashed. We're going to struggle with bad teams because the coaches on the defensive side of the ball now are not good enough. They are not good enough. The cornerback coach, the linebackers coach, the defensive coordinator, and even the secondary coach. I don't rate him either. I don't care about his recruiting. If you're a good coach, you can recruit players because you can show them proof of what's going to happen to them when they get in your system. Good players cannot make a bad system good. They cannot. They will look like bad players. Right? But a good system can make bad players look good. And that's take me to the next point. When Al Golden was the coach of Miami, we had 9 players that went 3rd round or higher in the draft. Since Mark Richt / Manny Diaz had been at Miami, it's 2. Njoku and Chad. 2 players Al Golden recruited. Everybody else that's been in the draft has gone 4th round or worse. Al Golden was a better coach than Manny Diaz. He had a worse scheme on defense, but he was a better coach. You can go on 247 Sports and look up the stats. But you people are buying the Kool-Aid. You're drinking it. You're chugging it. You're making them give you the coach speak, the politician speak, the salesman speak, and you're buying it. You have aided the demise of this program by not drawing red lines, by not saying if Baker does that, he has to go the next day. When D'Onofrio put up a season like that, he has to go in the off season. And that comes from Blake James as well. Blake James gives the coaches autonomy to do what they want with the staff. Proper schools give the coaches autonomy to a certain extent. When they see unacceptable things, they step in and they say, you either have to do this or we're going to do this. Miami doesn't do that. Right? And that's what's going on, and that's what's wrong with the program. I see people putting up stats of coaches' salary in the NFL, I mean, in the SEC and all these other conferences and whatever. Coaches have to come from somewhere. You can find good coaches at, you know, not extortionate prices. You can find them. That's what we used to do. We never got all these big name coaches from all these whatever. Miami used to be the coaching factory. It was an NFL factory for players and an NFL factory for coaches. We didn't go poach coaches from Alabama and Hawaii State. You got them from Oklahoma State. You got them from these schools or whatever, right? The problem that's going on with Miami is there are too many position coaches that are not developing the players. And the draft is showing it. Hal Golden, 9 players, 3rd round or higher, with 3 first round picks. Dorsett, Flowers, and Artie Burns. With Miami, it's only 2 players, 3rd round or higher. Chad, 3rd round. Njoku, 1st round. You guys have to wake up. You guys have to stop making excuses. Stop buying the Kool-Aid. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. You have to put pressure on them. Manny Diaz has no excuse. He has been at Miami since 2015-16 offseason. That's how long he's been here. Every defensive player that put up that abomination against UNC, he recruited them. Every single one of them. Mac Brown has been there, been at UNC for 2 years total. He's in our division. They're going to own the division. Manny Diaz got rid of all the offensive staff. But his boys on defense are going to be there. They're not going to change anything. Let me say it right now. If they were going to change anything, they would have changed it after the UNC game. They do not need Baker to call the defense in the bowl game. They're boys. It's on you.